are you?
Hello. Good, thanks.
Hi. So I'm so excited about our chat today. I know it's a topic very dear to your heart. Yeah, so let's get started. So I'm just wondering if why is it difficult for women and young girls to get an autism diagnosis?
Mainly because we're really good at hiding it, and secondly because it looks different. It can look different. The symptoms or the signs look different. So, yeah, we don't stand out as much, and we're different. So that's why.
Yeah, so it looks different, I suppose, right?
Yeah.
But can you give us some more examples about how does it look? Does it look different socially? You know, you could blend in, but, you know, there are other problems that comes with that, being able to mask the problems and, you know. So can you share with us about your experience?
I learned earlier on just to copy people, which people, they call it masking. And I would hang around with the most sociable girls, the ones that are really good at it and are good at becoming popular. And in high school, especially one girl, she kind of figured something was a bit off. So she, in her mind, so she kind of took me under her wing. I became her best friend, and she I was like her little friend that she took everywhere, and it was great to have a friend like that, actually.
Oh, well, that was a positive experience for you, but I'm wondering if, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, if for some other young girls, they may not choose the right crowd, because I'm wondering if it's easier to just go with people who are just more like social and they stand out more, so it's easier to be attracted to those kind of model, but they're not necessarily good models. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess, when I started a new high school, and I looked around to see which kind of people gelled, and I was, I'm a nerdy kid, so I picked kids that were similar to me, but also having fun and stuff. But it wasn't easy to get accepted in the beginning. Like, they have their initiation processing, and they think, oh, do we want to accept this person and stuff like that. I mean, in primary school, I had a lot of problems with kids, and because I'm very honest and straightforward, and people don't like that. Even kids don't like that. So, I had my share of bullying and all that through school because I stand up for the underdog, and people don't appreciate that. And I was little also in size, so that didn't help. So, definitely a lot of struggles, but you kind of survive by latching onto somebody and they kind of take you through it. But, you got to be careful who you latch onto.
Yeah. So when you were in middle school and high school, whenever you had problems at school, were you able to talk to your family, your parents? Were they, no, was it hard? It's hard enough to be a teenager, so how was it?
I don't think kids I didn't talk to anyone about anything, and I'm even telling my parents stories, my mom's stories now, and she's like, wow, why didn't you tell me? And like, I didn't know how to talk about things. I couldn't communicate much, and so I just sort of survived on my own. And then looking back after I got the diagnosis, I was like, man, no wonder I had problems. I could have, with support, this could have been a lot better. And that's why I'm doing what I do now with Ask the Aspie, because I want to support parents, support teachers, support service providers, so that girls like me don't have to go through that, because that wasn't easy. So I would love that to be a different experience for this generation.
So you didn't get your diagnosis until very, very late. And what finally prompted you or your parents to seek a diagnosis? So how did you finally arrive at seeking for that medical diagnosis?
I had chronic fatigue. I mean, I've always been fatigued. I think just socializing is exhausting and caused me a lot of fatigue. So when I was around, mid-30s, I thought my sensory problems got a lot worse, and I could hardly leave the house because of loud noise, and I couldn't be under lights, and it was just getting worse. My fatigue was getting worse. So I just started looking for answers, and somehow I came across it. I don't know how. Just looking on the internet or in the library, I saw books, and I had a really different perception of what autism meant or Asperger's meant. Yeah. So I thought, no, I'm not one of these people. Yeah. But then I went for the assessment, and she goes, "You should have been told this as a child a long time ago." Yeah. And it took me a long time to accept it because, I mean, I'm 43 now. I got diagnosed at 35. Right. It took several years to even accept that it was true. Yes. Because of the perception of what it is, because it's based on a male model. That's why I want to help girls and women out there that are struggling and not sure what life is and trying to make sense of themselves, that maybe they have it as well. Right.
I think what you're doing, so tell us a little bit about your passion in writing and your mentoring and your interests, your work. I think you have all of very interesting pieces now in your life. So tell us about that.
Well, I've published 5 books and a magazine called Australian Vegans Journal. So it all comes from my love of animals. And a lot of girls and women on the spectrum are big animal lovers. Yes. And that's also can be what people call special interests, and animals can be one of those things. So I've been hardcore passionate about animals all my life. I'm vegan, obviously. So I did books, published 5 books in 5 years, which is a hyper-focus. The benefit of hyper-focus, you can really get stuff done when you're passionate about it, or when it's inside your special interests. Yes. So I encourage parents to look at those special interests and see how you can turn it into a career. So that's a big one. Now I just qualified as a dog massage therapist, so I'm going into animal naturopathy. I'm so happy with that because I love dogs. Who doesn't? But I super love dogs, so I'm doing that. And I also mentor authors. So anyone that wants to self-publish their own books, I will do consults for that. Okay, that's amazing. So I suggest that you should maybe make a little video of you doing your puppy massage. That sounds so much fun. I want to see what that looks like. It's so fun. The dogs love it. They love it so much. Sure. They love it as much as we do. Yeah, wow, yeah. What about cats and other? Yeah, I can massage cats. My friend's cats. I'm so curious about that. They love it. You should make a little video for all of us and post it on your Instagram. That sounds so cool. Okay. So I have this particular question that parents of teens usually ask me. They want to know if it's important for parents to disclose the autism diagnosis. And if it is, when do we do that and how to do that? So what do you think? You mean to teachers and to parents? So disclose to teachers. It's important, to know that you actually have autism, so that's a very sensitive subject. For example, in Asia, when I work in Asia, any kind of disability, it's it's nobody, it shouldn't leave the house, and yet when I speak to adults with autism, they absolutely believe that knowing your diagnosis, it's so important to your well-being. So how do you feel about that? Yeah, definitely. I mean, getting diagnosed is a life changer. It's a game changer. Disclosure, I guess it depends on the context and depends on the reception you think you might get. But I think there's so much benefit to people knowing. And if teachers are nice and, they're going to be accommodating, then of course you want to tell them because it's going to help your kid no end. But I suppose in employment, I don't know. It's a tricky one, and I've got to say that for another day. But with teachers, they should be accepting, and that's what I'm doing, like awareness, acceptance, and solutions. And the acceptance is gotta get on board. The people have to get on board with it.
Yeah. So your advice to parents is to, and also my advice, I do believe that you should work towards disclosing the autism diagnosis and not look at it as like something that you're
it's
not
a dirty word.
It's not
a dirty word.
Exactly.
I call it the awesome spectrum.
Exactly.
And we're just different. It's not a curse or something like that. And if parents are cooler about it, we'll get out there and we'll show people how cool it is.
Yeah, exactly. So I usually advise parents and also tell my teen clients that now you know what it is, autism, but let's, as a family, make a discovery about your strengths and weaknesses. So I usually actually tell my clients, my teen clients, don't go on the internet and look for, search for autism, because it's a lot of information. It could be quite scary. But instead of that, maybe as a family, they would maybe read a couple of books and, are there particular resources or books for parents to just help them prepare to think about autism, reframing autism, and to think about it differently, to help them prepare, okay, how do we, initiate the conversation with our child about the diagnosis?
Well, I would start by thinking about what the word autism means. Literally, it means in their own world.
Right.
Just looking inwards. So what's wrong about that? What's wrong about getting into your interests and being by yourself and doing things you're interested in, and doing selective socializing and stuff, and being sensitive, which is what sensory issues are.
Yeah.
It's because you're very sensitive to the environment. So I'd say, what's wrong with that? It's just about setting up the environment. Environment is everything.
Yeah.
So in terms of resources, for me as a female, Asperger's by Rudy Simone was the first book I read. Really found a lot in common with that. And what I did with that book is I highlighted the parts that were relevant to me. So, when you try to give someone a book, like your parents or someone else that you care about, to say, well, what's this all about? I highlighted the parts that were relevant because everyone's different in the spectrum.
Yeah.
It's spectrum, and within the spectrum, it's not like a linear thing. So what you can do is just tell people, not to go and just search randomly autism, because it's everyone's individual.
Yeah.
They say if you've met one person, you've met one person on the spectrum. So look for resources that fit your situation. If you're an adult or a teenager and you want to have relationships, there's another book by Rudy Simone that says something about the 22 things. So even if you're a male or female, the 22 things you would want your partner to know. And I also highlighted that book because it's not all relevant to me and not all the bits fit.
Right.
So if I wanted to show a potential partner this book, I would show them my highlighted bits of the book.
Yeah.
So that's what I would emphasize, that everyone's an individual.
Exactly.
And to find the resources that suit.
Yeah. I'm reading 2 books right now. One is called Neurotribes by Steve Silberman. So that might be a book interesting to parents, and it just talks about the literature and history of autism, and how, now in the Silicon Valley, many people here who work with Google and Facebook, they do have very, strong autistic, traits, but they do very, very well in this type of industry. So there's the book Neurotribe, that I'm reading that one, and also another book called Uniquely Human by Dr. Barry Present. I like that one because I think it's appropriate for both genders, but I love the idea of highlighting important parts of the book. And I was thinking, I think it would be great for a family to have like a book club within a family, to just talk about read the book together and just compare and contrast. I think that would be a really interesting idea.
Just treating people as individuals, it's important.
Exactly.
And not
exactly.
just not going with stereotypes and looking at a person's interests and saying, or looking at who they are, what their sensory needs are, and saying, what do you actually need to thrive, and without worrying about, all the other chatter that goes on about it.
Exactly. So I think we have some like maybe 3 minutes. Does anyone have any questions for Kat? Anybody has questions about autism in women, about some challenges? Any questions at all? I think Kat and I will probably have other topics. One topic that came to my mind is living with sensory challenges, and how is that expressed, and of course that is expressed in social situations. And
I have a lot of sensory problems, so I've found workaround solutions, ways of living in the world that wasn't made for me. It's not easy, as
of course.
So it doesn't get fixed or anything, but you can work around it, and I'd love to talk about that.
So that's a whole different subject, important subject. Well, we did talk about your family, and especially your mom, who was so supportive and understanding. And can you talk a little bit about her when you were younger, and how she was with your difficulties?
Well, they didn't know what it was, and I was doing so well at school, they didn't particularly care if I was social or not. Which I think is a fact that you should care if your kids have problems with social stuff, because when you get to work, it's very important to know these things. When you get to university and stuff like that, it's very important. If your kids are great at school, that's great, but also help them with social things. But they did let me be alone, and they left me to my own devices, which I appreciated. They didn't force me to do anything socially. So.
Oh, there's a question, Kat. I wonder, how did you deal with puberty? What were the challenges? That was a big question. Go ahead.
I didn't deal with it well, and that was another thing. My parents were like, "What's happening here?" That is a great sign for girls. If the girls are getting diagnosed late, just look at them at between 12 to 14, how they're reacting to those changes. I just did not cope with it. Didn't want it. Rejected it. It was like the worst time of my life. So it's a great sign, though, if you think your daughter might be on the spectrum. Have a look at that age group, how they're dealing with it. I think it might show you some clues there. And it also creates a case for you when you go to the going through the diagnosis process, because that is something that it shows a sign of you're not coping with change.
It's higher anxiety during that time frame. I think that
it's a change of routine. It's a routine.
It's everything.
It's not. It's like, what is happening to me? This is not the same as it used to be. We like sameness, and it's something. It's not cool. There's so many sensory problems with it. It's yucky.
Exactly.
It's not good. I've never accepted it. It's gross. I don't talk about it in detail because it's embarrassing, but it's and all these things about celebrating womanhood. I don't think that works for everyone.
No.
It doesn't work for me. The way they reframe it to make it sound good, that's just BS.
It just doesn't make sense. Exactly.
Sorry.
So thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for your time, and I will schedule more topics. If you have any ideas for topics or requests, send me a message, and I'm so happy to host Kat again. Thank you for your time, Kat. So
thank you.
Thanks for having me. So we get to keep the recording, and we'll see you guys another time. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Have a good evening. Good day. Bye.